delicious and nutritious recipe. So just because something is high in calories doesn't mean that it has to be unhealthy or doesn't have other nutrients to it.
Absolutely. So we're gonna do, actually, I used to work at a steakhouse when I was a little younger, and there was one of my favorite side dishes, I won't name the steakhouse, one of my favorite side dishes was something called a twice baked potato. It is, if you've never had it before, it is delicious. I see some nods and some yes. Yes, very good. So we're actually gonna do, so essentially it's a baked potato, and what I love about it is you can add whatever topping you want. This is like free game, you know, put whatever flavors you like. You can pack it with some extra protein, you can pack it with some extra calories if you need, but it's a really nice.
Or you can make it a lighter recipe, so
Absolutely.
if you're not having difficulty eating, or if you're looking to actually lose weight or watch your weight a little bit more, then this is a recipe you can really, you know, tailor it to everybody in your family. So start with the basic recipe, and then those individuals who need to add more calories can do so.
And so what we're gonna do today is we wanted to make small bites. So usually the baked potato is a whole baked potato. That might be a little too much. It might be too much food, even a little intimidating for somebody, especially if the appetite isn't there. So we designed a recipe that's gonna be a little bit smaller, nice bite size. This freezes absolutely fantastic. So it's great to kind of pop a few in the oven when you don't feel like cooking, or you can manage a few bites, and it's a great recipe. So we're gonna use sweet potato. And instead of baking it whole, what I want to do is cut them into manageable rounds. So about this size. So you're looking at about an inch, a little bit over an inch, about an inch and a half. And if the sweet potato is bigger like this, that's fine. You know, they're going to be all different sizes. But this way, it bakes a little bit faster, and it's a little bit more manageable. You know, to have 1 or 2 or 3 of these. Or 10 if you're really hungry. Maybe not 10. But really easy to do. So we're gonna cut them into small rounds. I'll do a few of them here. Now, this is something where I suggest save it for a day where you have a little bit more energy, maybe you feel like cooking, and do like a whole bag of sweet potatoes. Because, you know, do them all at once, get it out of the way. It'll take you, 30, 40 minutes, and then you can freeze them all for later, which is fantastic. So we're gonna put them in a bowl. We're gonna season them, just a teaspoon of olive oil. You don't need too much. And yeah, and a pinch of salt. And so I'm only doing a few here, so you can do obviously a few more. Use a bigger bowl.
If you're already going to the trouble and you're in the kitchen, we always say go for the big batches, especially with a recipe like this that does freeze well.
Absolutely.
And so those times when you do have a bit more energy, take advantage. And then for the times when you're not feeling your best, you'll have a freezer full of some healthy meals and snacks that you can just pop in the microwave or in the oven.
And so we're gonna throw them onto a baking sheet. Make sure that cut side down so that they're kind of standing up like this. And then into the oven, about 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And bake them for about 35, 40 minutes. You can tent them as well with just a little bit of aluminum foil, just on top. Don't have to be tight, but just a little bit on top.
Will that cut down on the cooking time?
It'll help. It'll help with the cooking time, but as well, it won't burn the top if the heat is too aggressive. Yes, quite. Let them cool a little bit, and then you can take a spoon, or this is a melon baller, and scoop them about halfway, so not all of it, but about halfway through, and that sweet potato should be soft enough. It should come right out. So don't try not to go all the way to the bottom. See how? It's okay if that happens, no problem. Just kind of use your finger to mash it and fill in the gaps there.
It'll taste just as delicious,
yeah,
I'm sure.
Absolutely. Take your time. And just create these almost like, you can see these ones here, like little cups almost. And it takes a little bit of patience, but it's really easy, especially when the sweet potato is soft. Like really simple to
And
go
if you
through
wanted to, you could do this with regular potatoes as well.
Now, could you just do a whole baked potato and save you a lot of time? Absolutely. This is, it'll save you. But if, again.
Jeremy's right. I mean, if you or your loved one does have a small appetite, then sitting down to a great big baked potato can be really overwhelming. Having, 2 or 3 or 4 of these little bites might even be almost as much, but it's not that overwhelming factor that can turn people right off. And this is a really nice appetizer too. Some of the holiday parties that you might have coming up.
For sure. So sweet potato in here. We're going to get to that in a second. Now what we want to do is get to our sauce, or sort of our filling, which is going to be a garlic Gouda sauce. Really, really nice, cheesy, velvety sauce. We're going a little crazy today.
I'm always telling my patients to add more calories, to put cheese sauce on your vegetables, add it to things that you're eating. But a lot of people don't know how to make a nice cheese sauce. So Jeremy's going to show us a simple way, and Gouda is packed with flavor.
This is, again, a very simple way to do a cheese sauce. So I start off with about a tablespoon of olive oil in a small pot, and I have some garlic in here. Now I've caramelized the garlic because what I want to do is flavor that oil with garlic. We don't want to actually serve the garlic itself because that can cause some digestion issues.
Yes, absolutely. So oftentimes it's a bit of a catch-22. If you're experiencing some side effects like gas or bloating, or just in general having difficulty with digestion, some people find that garlic, onions, some of these foods that provide flavor to your food aren't easily digested. So what we're doing here is we're going to get the flavor out of the garlic and also some of the nutritional components. So we're going to get a compound called allicin that's found in garlic that has been linked to lower risk of several types of cancer when people regularly have this compound as part of garlic. So we're still going to get the nutrition, we're going to get the flavor, but Jeremy's actually going to infuse the oil with the flavor of the garlic and then remove it so that you're not going to get some of those side effects because of the actual fibrous part of the garlic.
So this, if you can eat it, definitely eat it. Take it out and you can serve it after. You can kind of mash it with the sweet potato, it'll be fantastic. But otherwise you can put it aside. And now we have that really nice garlicky oil. Garlicky is a word, I believe.
It is a word.
I thought I was making it up, but it is a word.
And if you're going through taste changes, if your food is tasting really bland, this is a great way to pack in some extra flavor into your oils and into your cooking.
So now into that oil, I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of flour. You can use any flour. If you probably want to go with this area, you probably want to go with like an all-purpose, an unbleached all-purpose, something a little more refined. But if you can digest more whole grain, there's no reason you can't use like a barley flour or something like that. So we just want to mix it in here just until the flour dissolves. Can you guys see that? I'll try to angle it. So see how it's bubbling? So I've got it on a medium-low heat, nothing too aggressive, and I just want to stir it around just until the olive oil and the flour.
So you mentioned you're making a roux. That's a good culinary term for us to learn about today.
Yes, yeah. So
what is a roux?
A roux is sort of a thickening agent that's used in soups and stews, in sauces to make it thicker. So it's a French term, and it's the combination between a fat of some sort and a starch or a flour of some sort. So typically it's butter and flour, but you can use it with any fat. So any sort of oil, avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, and any sort of flour in combination would work to create a roux.
Great.
So that's in there. Now we're going to add a cup of milk right to that. And I wouldn't use anything less than 2%. 2% is probably the lowest I would go, because any lower than that and you start to heat it up, it'll start to break on you. So like skim milk, 1%, it'll start to break on you. If you did want to go for a really low fat option, then I think they have like 1% or even fat-free evaporated milks, like those canned, those ones. Those tend to stay a little stronger when you're heating them. They don't break as often, so you can definitely use something like that. So that's going to go in, and we just want to give it a whisk. You can bring the heat up to medium. I don't want this to boil, but I want it to simmer. So I want some steam in there, just a little bit of bubbles. And that'll take a couple, maybe a minute or so. And then into that, we're going to add some delicious, this is Gouda. This is one of my favorites. This is actually a smoked Gouda, which you can find in grocery stores. Use whatever sort of cheese you want. Something that melts, preferably, would work the best with something like this. And a milder cheese is, if if you want to stay in that range, is a good option. So Gouda is good, Swiss is good, cheddar, even really good option. No, not necessarily. You can go for like an aged cheddar, absolutely, to give it more flavor.
I guess it depends how much you like that
Yeah, it's
flavor.
It's
if
really
you want to go
up to
strong
you.
or mild.
It's
Yeah.
really up to you, yeah. So as soon as it starts to simmer a little bit, it'll happen. We're gonna throw our cheese in. Come on.
Simmer.
So as soon as that starts to bubble a little bit, and you can get it bubbling a little longer, you'll notice the liquid will start to thicken because of the flour and the oil mixture. And then that's when you can throw your cheese in, and you can actually remove from the heat. I'm gonna leave it just a little longer on here. And then there you can add, again, whatever you want. So I have some thyme here, some fresh thyme. I'll put in there. Maybe a little crack of pepper. The cheese itself usually has, depending on what cheese, but there usually is quite a bit of sodium in there, so you probably don't have to add any salt. But again, taste it, see what you like. And this is pretty much it for a cheese sauce. You heat it on low just until it gets thick enough to the consistency that you like. But that's pretty much all it takes. And so now what I'm gonna do is put a little bit in with our mashed potatoes here.
If you wanted to make a big batch of the cheese sauce and have it to put on your vegetables or to add to your little meals, how long would that keep in the fridge for?
You can probably keep it in the fridge because it's mostly fat at this point, but you can probably keep it in the fridge for a week or two.
Okay. That's good.
And then just heat it up when you need it. And so we're gonna mash this in here. Again, you can season this the way you like it. But we'll mash it in. I'll add a little bit more. This is getting
That
a
looks
little.
delicious.
I was breaking a little bit, but. Okay, so we're gonna mash it in. And at this point, again, you can add whatever ingredients you want to the baked potato. So you can, whatever you like. So if you're okay with onions and some of the garlic or whatever, you can get creative. We're gonna keep it very simple, just for this recipe. And to put it into the cups, you can do it with a spoon, one by one. I started doing that yesterday and realized, okay, I have a lot of these to make. So you can speed that up with just a little Ziploc bag. And you'll end up, if you do a few, you'll end up with more of that filling, but.
We like tips and tricks that help us save time.
Yeah, so we're gonna put it into, this is just a regular Ziploc bag. We'll push all of that filling to the corner and then cut off a little piece. Get rid of this right away. I always say this.
Otherwise it ends up in your
It'll end up in
potatoes.
someone's potato. And that's it. And then you can just kind of like
It's like you have a little piping bag or
bag.
some icing.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier,
You can go really fast.
really, really fast. So I can fly through these. And at this point, I can pop them in the freezer. So they're done for me. I'll put them in the freezer. And then when you want them, when you're ready, you can pop them in the oven. If you wanted to freeze them, yeah, put them in the freezer at this point. So they're done.
So what if you have leftovers? Can you freeze them after you've made them?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be baking them again, so
Triple baked potatoes.
triple baked potatoes.
That could work.
But yeah, absolutely, you can do it. And so when you're ready, pop them under the broiler.
The correct answer is you won't have leftovers.
Yes.
Yeah, if they were triple baked, probably a little bit drier.
They might be a little drier, but
Sweet potatoes are so moist
Yes.
anyway.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
and that's
I think
it.
you'd be okay.
So underneath the broiler, you have just until you get a little bit of color on top, and they're fantastic, really, really nice. You have the potato skin on the outside and the really nice creamy sweet potato with the Gouda sauce. Very simple. Again, and I didn't go crazy with the ingredients, but you can definitely customize it.